Hello, Ron. Good day. Good afternoon. Apologies for the delay. I was not able to get my presentation to work on Linux screen mirroring. Right. So today we'll be talking about demystifying PyTorch for ASICs. This is a fun one. So you already know GPUs. You have CPUs. Now you may have heard of ASICs, right? Of TPUs, AWS Trainium, Inferentia. So we have all those kind of ASICs. So what are ASICs? They are basically purpose-built chips. It stands for application-specific integrated circuits. Basically, chips for doing specific things. Now, these are not limited to AI. We have chips for blockchain. We have chips for quantum computing. We're just talking about AI for now because this is a PyTorch talk. My name is Alpha. I'm from the Philippines. I'm a senior data engineer. So I do machine learning on the side as a individual endeavor, but I do build data engineering, data pipelines for my main job. So what we'll be talking about is actually very quick. So we'll be talking about TPUs and its framework, PyTorch XLA, which is now becoming the Torch TPU, as announced yesterday by the Google team. We'll be also talking about AWS Trainium with their framework, Torch NeuronX. We'll be doing a performance analysis on various machines, and let's tackle the thing called compiler tax, which you might not know, and then talk about common ASIC errors, and then some future updates in regards to ASICs in general. So see, these are the companies, and these are the AI ASICs, and these are the frameworks. So the main ones being AWS Trainium and Inferentia, purpose-built for training and inference. And there's Google TPUs with several generations from 1 to 7. There's the Maya from Microsoft, 100 and 200, that never saw the light of day, I believe, or will see the light of day soon. And there's IBM Spire and Intel Gaudi. So it's not, so in the GPU space, we have NVIDIA and AMD and Intel. So for the ASIC space, we also have these companies and their specific chips. Now, what you can see here is most of them target the PyTorch framework directly. So you don't need to hook up, or maybe you just need to change the device to model to device configuration and hook up to just configure TPUs or Trainium on their specific chips. But in the case of AWS and Google, they have their own framework, which is PyTorch XLA and Torch NeuronX. So GPUs, this is how GPUs work in general. Again, this is a fundamental talk first. So GPUs have arithmetic logic units, ALUs, that they have so many of those that they can do this in parallel compared to CPUs. And then that's basically how it goes. They process data in parallel. The black and red represents the model parameters, and then the white and black represents data, and then they process those in ALUs in parallel. So you have very fast training. However, compared to GPUs, which is actually quite broken now. So there we go. So TPUs load the model parameters into the chips first, and then the data, they stream in just like that. So even if the data doesn't come in order, it can still handle it. And then, as you can see, it's quite fast. And why is it fast? Well, let's tackle it. What did I show you? What are they called? So let's begin with these. Let's begin with you first. You, the developer, you, the machine learning engineer, you do your source code in these machine learning frameworks. In this example, it's Torch NeuronX, and then it gets compiled by the Neuron compiler, and then you provision the Trainium machine on AWS. The Trainium 1 X2 X large, 32X large has 16 Trainium chips, and then it has neuron cores, and then the Tensor Engine, which does the heavy lifting. Which, I mean, the Tensor Engine and for the matrix multiplication on the Google side, it is in a specialized architecture called the systolic array, which you have seen over here. This is a systolic array, and this is basically what makes TPUs fast on the hardware side. So that systolic array processes matrix and does matrix multiplication on tensors, and then you have these optimized data types. So on the proprietary part, you have the TPU VM. We cannot buy those, unfortunately. And then they have these proprietary connections called the ICI interchip interchip interconnect. I forgot, sorry. So the ICI and the OCS, they are basically connecting the chips together, and then they are in the 2D Torus topology, and then you have bigger machines for the TPUs. And then for the AWS side, you have the EC2 Ultra cluster. You have the same 2D topology, and then they have their proprietary um, chip connections. So yes, so what you notice here is basically they have the same, fundamentally the same architecture. I mean, this is a high-level simplification of what they do on the side. Of course, they do specialize on different things, and then they have their own extensions. However, as you can notice, they're basically the same. AWS Trainium and TPUs are fundamentally the same. They are built on the same systolic array architecture. They have the same MXQs or matrix multiplication. On the AWS side, they have theirs called tensor engines, and then they have neuron cores. On the TPU side, you have tensor cores, and then TPU chips, Trainium chips, right? So fundamentally, they are the same. So going on to the PyTorch side, so you, the developer, let's go back again, and then you develop your source code in their own PyTorch framework called the PyTorch XLA and Torch Neuron X. Then that gets compiled down to lazy tensors, which I'll show you in a bit. And then once you hit a trigger, you convert them to high-level opcodes, and then if it sees that it already exists and it doesn't need to execute them again, and then goes to the XLA compiler and then sends them to the device. So basically, this is on the PyTorch side. PyTorch XLA side, what differentiates PyTorch XLAs from the regular PyTorch is that we have this thing called lazy tensor, and then you have this code, right? So you build z plus you assign z to the x plus y, which as you can imagine grows over time as you train your model. However, on the XLA side, you have this thing called widmark step, which actually sees, like, this thing already exists, and we see this in the cache already, so we execute this. We reuse this 3 times. And that's on the PyTorch XLA side what makes them fast. So in terms of benchmarks, I've gone with a economic machine, and then I've gone with the heavy machines for the and I also did multiple providers, RunPod for the 1X H100, Nebius with the 8X H100 TPU. So the last 3 are mostly priced the same. However, because of that fundamental architecture of systolic arrays, because of, sorry, I'm going to go back. So because of these architecture, right, of systolic arrays, how do they compare to the GPUs, basically, within the same price? So for this use case, I'll be training, or I trained the ResNet 50 on the ImageNet 1K, the industry benchmark for image recognition, and then Vision Transformer S16, and then fine-tuned on SFT and DPO on these 3 models, Gemma 3, Qwen 3, Minstrel 3. So this represents the US, this is the Chinese models, and then this is the French model. So given those models and those training sets, and I'm being unbiased here that I trained this on my own. So on H100s, you can see it took multiple hours, and then on the 8X H100s, it took 2 hours, and then it's kind of close. It's kind of close in performance to the ResNet 50, to the H100, the V68E, and then that's basically it. I trained the models. So you have this thing called the compiler tax. The compiler tax, so you have this compile step, right? I mean, the GPUs themselves, the PyTorch has the compile method. So what sets the compiler tax apart is that this is for TPUs and Trainium. So you notice on the first epoch, on the first step, of the epoch, um, it took quite a while. So on the second step and the third step, and does it take so long? It's because it's recompiling. It's building the intermediate representation. It's building the graph that it can reuse later. So it's doing this operation. Sorry, it's doing this operation, and then once it already has the graph, and once you hit the trigger, then it goes blazingly fast. So that's the compiler task basically. So on the first epoch, on the first step, it will basically take a while because it's still compiling, and then once you proceed to the next steps, it goes fast. So for the difference between the step 20 and step 10, it's only around 7, and then it reuses the same. It reuses the the graph basically. So now we have that. Now we know how TPUs and Trainium are so fast because of their architecture. And then, what are the common ASIC errors that we encounter? So in this case, this is a very common error. It's basically once you run your code, right, and then you try to run it again, and then it's the one is already running. You didn't kill it, so you have to stop it, and then you basically have to do this Linux command. So have to kill that existing process. This is a very common ASIC error. Then there's the ASIC error of out of memory. So in this case, I'm trying to run on a TPU v4 machine, and it has around 32 gigs of memory. And I'm trying to allocate 33 gigs, and so that's out of memory. So what did I do? I basically set the maximum length from 248 and 124, and that basically reduced the memory required for the training. So some simple migration notes. I know this is kind of fundamental. I know this is kind of basic. But how do you actually migrate from CUDA to Google TPUs, and are they viable in the first place? So if you're going to migrate from CUDA to Google TPU, of course, you're going to encounter XLA compile semantics, some operations in XLA and Google TPUs and Trainium that are not actually implemented yet, going from CUDA. And then what if you want to migrate from TPUs to Trainium? Well, those are two separate XLA-based compiler stacks, so that will take, the engineering tax of that will be enormous. So the way forward and what to expect, PyTorch will still be the standard framework despite the custom frameworks of PyTorch XLA and Torch TPU and AWS Torch NeuronX. PyTorch will still be their base, and then ASICs will need to build on top of them for the developers to leverage their ASIC chips, right? So and then some very cool stuff coming in the future. Torch TPU announced that will be released this year, and then the Maya 200 will be in general availability, I hope, this year as well. And then this is what I'll be doing, and I hope you find exciting, will be the TPU v7, which is the latest and greatest TPU version, and then Trainium 3, which was announced 2025 AWS reInvent, versus the very powerful NVIDIA GB200 and 300, which I'll be doing that soon. So please look forward. And I'd like to, if you want yourself to try out these TPUs, because they are paid, so there are 3 ways, as I've heard from Google from yesterday's talk, and I do owe them I do owe them gratitude, because they have provided me with these powerful machines for free, and how you can do them, how you can obtain them as well is basically through the TPU Research Cloud. So it's a very simple application, and then they literally give you free machines for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. You just have to ask. And so first way is to go to Kaggle or Google Colab to get TPUs. Unfortunately for AWS Trainium, you can only provision them on AWS. And I don't know if you saw, but I didn't have a Torch Neuron or AWS 32X large benchmark, because I haven't been, they haven't given me a quota yet. So that's for you as an individual developer, you have to request a quota first, unfortunately, and that will take weeks. So for the TPU Research Cloud, do apply to them, and then you'll basically receive these powerful TPUs, TPU V4, V5, V6. And then if you want the slides and the code on GitHub that I used for the benchmark, feel free to scan the QR codes or type the link. And then I'll be adding, so unfortunately, because I didn't have quota, I'll be following up on the on the GitHub code to basically update it and do the Trainium Inferentia comparison. So these are the references, and then that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening, and hope you have a very nice PyTorch Conference Europe.